to the topic of the discussion and hit the issues you typically find reluctant. Remove the facade to fill the gap with some substance. We undermining problems, expecting to overcome it. Please hold the applause. We doing it for the cause. People follow culture before they follow the laws. We rather face the friction and not attempt it at all. Persistence will find solutions once our contentment dissolves. There's a hard pill to swallow for anyone breathing, both for folks who stay woke and those who be dreaming. We ain't slaves, yet we still ain't experienced freedom. What we need is the keys to access the kingdom. We're all in this fallen world trying to stay intact. I'm just a beggar, point you out to where the bread is at. So follow the breadcrumbs like Hansel and Gretel. And thank Yogi Bear and the thought engineer for that on
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once again. It is Man Talk Mondays. I'm Derek, the Thought Engineer, here with my man, comedian John Yogi. How you feeling tonight, man?
Man, I am great tonight, man. We got past Monday. Woo! Let's go. I'm ready to get into it, man. Let's go.
You know, that's the crazy thing, man, about Mondays, man. They say that the bulk of heart attacks happen on Sunday night because anticipation for Monday. So you made it past Monday. You did good. Some people can't say that. You know what I'm saying? You made it. We're at the end of Monday. You're here to be with us right now. So we thank you for being with us. And let me just remind everybody, this is Man Talk Mondays. It's an open forum where we talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, all around relationships. But we're doing it from a man's perspective. Now, keep in mind, this is not just for men. This conversation is not just for men. We want everybody to join in and participate. Men, women, boys, and girls, you are welcome. We want to hear from you. How you do this, you go into the comment section, leave your comment, leave your question. This is how you talk to us. But by all means, we want to hear from you, right? We want to hear from you. So don't forget, like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you like, share, subscribe to the podcast. We want everybody to know about Man Talk Mondays, right? If you like what we're doing, make sure you share it out to all your family and friends, right? So we won't prolong the time. We're going to get into this. What's going on, Mr. Kenty 10? Mad Monday. Yes, sir, it is. Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, up to our segment we call Man Talk About It.
In our segment of Man Talk About It today, what I want to talk about is why can't we be honest? Why we keep lying to ourselves and other people? I don't mind you lying to yourself, but when you start lying to me, I got to draw the line. Listen, I know you want people in your life. I know you want somebody. How you going to say you don't want nobody, I'm good, I'm moving on, and yet you got a boyfriend? Some ain't adding up. Or yet you got a girlfriend. Or yeah, you got some significant other. Make me understand why you lying to me. You not lie to me. I ain't nobody. More importantly, I ain't Christ. Stop lying. But let me tell you something. You ain't gonna never get no healing until you be honest with yourself. We need people. Stop lying to yourself, saying that you don't need nobody. Everybody needs somebody. Now, if you've had a string of bad luck, I get it. But at least be honest with me and honest with yourself by talking about, hey, I really need somebody. Listen, we don't want, sometimes as people, we don't want to look bad. And most importantly, we don't want to be embarrassed. Listen, you got to want to be with somebody worse than you want to be embarrassed. And I know that's a lot for a lot of people, but you got to make the decision. I don't care about being embarrassed. I want somebody. Because it's finna get cold. It's finna be chilly out there. Ain't gonna be nobody to eat them beans when you cooking on the stove. You tell the truth, doggone it. Derek, can you tell them?
Well, you know, one thing about it, man, you know when people are ready to change, they don't care what they look like. They don't care nothing. That I don't care. Somebody help me. Somebody help me, please. That's when you know people ready to change. When they get to that point, they ready to change.
We are driven by I don't want to be embarrassed. Dude, at the end of the day, this was a hard thing for me. People don't care about you and your business just as much as they can talk about it. But for the most part, we don't care about you like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And anybody that's talking about you is probably trying to deflect from their own stuff, so they focusing on somebody else. So people get distracted from them.
Yes.
But when you talk about honesty, Mr. Ken say that's right. Too many self-righteous people lying. Yeah, absolutely right. Absolutely right. Grace says, I want that love like I saw in From Scratch. I haven't seen From Scratch. I don't know what that is. You know what From Scratch is?
I don't know.
Oh, I guess we got to check it out. We got to check out From Scratch. I don't know. But we're talking about honesty. We're talking about the honesty that you need to make a change, to really realize some things. I came across a video, and when you talk about when people don't care, this young lady, you could tell she put it all out there. She put it all out there. She was wearing her heart on her sleeve. She was being raw and honest about everything. Now, I'm going to show the video. Got to warn everybody, there is some explicit language for all you sensitive people. I'm just letting you know up front, because she is being very honest and very raw about in her emotions. I didn't have time to edit it, so you're going to get the raw and uncut. So and just letting you know up front.
Like we said with Dr. Rod last week, we'll deal with the cussing later. Right now, we're trying to get delivered. Okay? All right.
Yeah, we just want you to hear her real quick. We're going to play the video. We want you to hear her real quick.
And the truth about it is, y'all, I'm hurting y'all because I want to be loved. I want marriage. You know, a lot of us get on here, we act tough, and we be like, I don't want a man, I don't need a man, but I want help. I want to be loved. I want somebody to love me. I want somebody I can be vulnerable with. The problem is, and I'm not crying y'all because I'm sad, I'm crying y'all because it's like a release right now. But the problem for me, y'all, is that all the relationships that I had with men were not about love. It was about survival for me. I know how to fuck. I know how to cook. I know how to clean. I know how to seduce a man. I do not know how to love a man. And then to have a son, because of those choices that I was making, y'all, and I got pregnant really, really fast. I got pregnant within 90 days of knowing my baby daddy. And we don't talk about this shit because it's embarrassing and it hurts. It fucking hurts. And I'm mad with me. I'm not mad at men. I'm not mad at my life. I'm mad at me because I don't know how to fix me. I don't know how to fix it. That's accountability.
Wow.
That's the shit that hurts. It's realizing that, hey, I got some shit with me that I don't know how to fucking fix. And in turn, because I don't know how to fix that shit, I'm fucking up other people around me. That's accountability. That's the shit that we don't put on social media.
Wow. Wow. And wow. That is honesty.
She said, I just want to be loved. Hey, man, listen, put it out there. Sometimes we got to be willing to put things out in the atmosphere so we can get them back like they're supposed to come back to us.
Ken said, at least she's real about where she is. And that's why I played it like that, because she was very open at that time. And you can tell she was hurting, and she's like, I'm tired. When I say, when people get to the level where they don't care what they look like, they don't care, they ready to change. She's ready to change, and she's crying out for help. She's like, I don't know how to love a man. Somebody help me. Help me. And we're unpacking this show. We're unpacking last week's show. Rosalind said that's deep. Absolutely, that is deep. That was raw emotion at its finest.
Because we're not accustomed to people being honest with us. We're accustomed to people giving us bush, but we're not accustomed to people being honest with us. And when we see it, we almost shocked by it.
Yeah. Yeah. Grace said it hurts watching her. Right. It hit me. I'm like, wow, because you could tell she was being as honest and open as a person can be. And we had Dr. Rod on last week. We had all the information. He gave us so much good stuff about healing in relationships. So we wanted to kind of unpack that. And I wanted to show that video because it went right along with a lot he shared with us last week. But this is unpacked. Too hurt to love again. And this is the conversation, right? This is where you come in and you join us for the conversation. So by all means, especially if you watched last week, if it was something that stood out to you, we want to hear from you. But one thing Dr. Rod said, he says, your ability to move on depends on your ability to be honest with yourself. Your ability to move on depends on your ability to be honest with yourself. We talk about people keep dragging past relationships into the next one. And you keep doing this thing where you're dragging and the honesty is not there so that you can get beyond those past relationships and actually have something healthy. Ken says self-righteous people sound holy and fake. This lady is real and honest. Absolutely. She is, and you can tell she's ready for change. She's ready for somebody. Anybody would get her and pour into her, she'd be all ears.
I could tell by her style, she ready for something. She ready for nutrition. She ready for something. My life is wrecked right now. I need a checkup from the neck up. I got my earphones on sideways. Please, somebody help me, please. I can't be mad. I can't be mad at it because that's if you're willing to be vulnerable at that point, you'll find what you need.
Can't say I ain't that man for her. But I can tell you this: if she gets the help she needs and she does the work, the next guy that she gets with will appreciate it a lot more than guys in the past did.
You were absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. Because she told you, she said, I know what to do with you. I know how to put you in the pot to stir you. I know what to do with you. And even in that day, she say, but I don't know how to love you. What?
Listen, everything she described is stuff that we pretend that's what we looking for.
Yes.
And she said it was about survival. It was about survival. How many of us are just trying to survive? You just grabbing on to the next person trying to survive. Can't stand to be by yourself.
Yes. Because you need
them. You need them. Gray said his transparency effed me up. He was honest. Made me reevaluate how honest I've been with myself. Right. Well, because you got to ask questions now.
But the crazy thing about it is, most people don't have the safe space to be honest with themselves. You have to create a safe space to where you say, all right, all foolishness aside, because it's hard to be honest with you. I can talk to people all day. But when it comes to John and what my faults are, I have to be listening to her and to receive what my faults are. Because a lot of times, let me let y'all on a little secret. Most of y'all don't know y'all crazy. And you have to be willing to receive that when somebody comes to you and say, hey, listen, you kind of cuckoo and you need some help. Because to be honest, most of us are touched anyway. And when it comes to relationships, man, listen, you'll get hints, you'll get all the stuff people say, hey, you might need to consider some help.
Because another thing he said, Abia says, I ain't receiving that. She said
most y'all don't want to, but I'm telling you again, you a little touched. You that ain't receiving it, I'm talking to you.
One thing Dr. Rod said that stood out, he said, repressed grief makes it nearly impossible to discern where your responsibility is. You so focused on what the other person did to you that you can't really focus on what the part you play, because we all play a part. We all play a part in this, but you can't do it until you get past that pain.
You ever be so mad at somebody, so hurt from somebody actually letting you down and not fighting as hard as you fight, or not doing it as well as you would like to do it, to all you can see is, and you angry at them and you don't see yourself. And I get it. Contrary to what you guys think, and I was going to talk to Derek about this day, I forgot. We on the show every week. I've been married 31 years, Derek 14 years. And don't you think that I don't try to put my marriage on co-pilot because I've been married so long, and relationships don't do co-piloting well. They don't do co-pilot because you still have feelings and you still have things that you want done. When I tell you this is ministry to all of us, not just you guys, but us as well.
Melissa says, I have made horrible choices and flew past red flags. Now I'm thinking I may not be relationship material. I am a little touched.
I'm gonna agree with Melissa on one thing she said, on two of them. She is touched. That is true. But if you can see some of the mistakes that you made in relationships, because we should be learning something from every relationship that we in and out of. There should always be a takeaway. Okay, whoa. Because anytime we have our successes, we can write down what we did. Everything leaves clues. Successful relationships leave clues, and disastrous relationships leave clues. So are we paying attention to the clues that we're leaving in these relationships? So we're not doomed to keep making the same mistakes over and over.
But I think that's the whole thing. The pain makes us not really pay attention to ourselves. We don't pay attention to ourselves. And now you approach relationships from a point of need. Because a lot of that pain says, I need somebody. I need somebody to make me be okay. I need somebody to help me feel better. I need. And what did Dr. Rod say about needs?
Say you got a need at a 0. Your need got to be at a 0. Your want got to be at a 10. Your need got to be at a 0. But Derek, after the worst thing that can happen to us a lot of times, Derek, is when we by ourselves. Because most of the time, the only way we can come to ourselves is when we by ourselves. When it ain't nobody else to blame or nobody else to talk to, then you look in the mirror and it's just you. You don't have nobody else there with you. And oftentimes, that's when God can start dealing with us, when we by ourselves.
Yeah. King said that's true. He's absolutely right. Dr. Ross said, my need leads to greed. He said, if you get into a relationship with a needy person, that person will continuously just pull on you. They become greedy and they just constantly pull. They take. Because they're trying to feel this need, and it's not healthy to go in with this need. Right. It's just that you can't feel.
Yes, that you can't feel. Exactly.
Right. Exactly. That's a hole that you can't feel.
But now, as much as you're right, most guys like to come in and save women. Most guys want to be considered the savior, either it's with money, time, or we're giving all of ourselves. And most of us are willing to go in that way and do that. But when they have holes in them, you can't put enough money in it, you can't put enough time in it, you can't put enough sex in it, because whatever you do, that hole is going to be too big for any man or any woman to fill when you have issues in your life like that. And I want people to know this, because I had a friend of mine say to me, he said, man, I didn't exactly agree with everything that was being said, and I was thinking, well, and I thought about it. At first I was kind of taken back, but I thought about it. And I don't think he agreed with it because he hadn't been hurt. He's not hurting in and out of relationships. So then it will be foreign to you. So I understand. So when I talk to you, I'm going to let you know, I understand what you were saying. But at the time, I was trying to figure out what couldn't you agree with if you were hurting. But if you're not, then I get this. So I want to ask the audience, were there any takeaways that you guys took that y'all want us to talk about? What did you hear last week? What's the things you heard last week that you thought, wow, if I could get them to expound on that a little bit?
One thing that stood out to me that he said is, and our producer added up a minute ago. Depression. He was talking about depression. Depression is regression, right? I mean, depression is repression. And what he was saying is, he said most people that we see, they don't have necessarily a clinical depression, so to speak. It's more of them repressing the pain, or they putting it away, packing it away, trying not to deal with it. But it requires, you have to depress it or hold it back, and you get tired. He said that depression leads to exhaustion. And when you get exhausted from trying to hold back that pain and repress it, this is where this depression really kicks in. And you people walking around depressed, and then you may have to see somebody and it may turn into some clinical, but it's because we won't deal with the pain that we're feeling. Afia said, yes, I had a habit of getting with takers and it wore me out. I'm done with that. It's about reciprocity for me. Because if you're dealing with people at a want instead of at a need, then that person isn't about taking, they're about giving.
And you can also see better when you at a want and not a need.
Mm-hmm.
You can see people better for who they are. A lot of times we need them as bad as we want them because we need them in our lives for one reason or another. It either is to brag that, hey, look, I got somebody. Y'all said I won't never have nobody. I got somebody. For whatever reason it is, we need them more. We need them just as much as we want them. And it's hard for us to see red flags and stuff like that when we want them as much as we need them.
Yeah. Grace said, I realized that I have not enjoyed my own company / singleness. I was a wife for so long. I've had many epiphanies these past few weeks. So she's been waking up to some things. Listen, one thing, if you don't enjoy being with your own self, what are the chances somebody else going to enjoy being with you?
Boy, you bet.
You have to learn how to be by yourself and be good and be fine. Yes. And if you can't be by yourself, then that's a automatic clue that there is something in you that's wrong that needs to be addressed. Whether you get with somebody and get some help, but something is there because you have to be able to be by yourself.
And you got to enjoy you before other people can.
Yeah. Yeah. My wife used to think I was crazy, man. I would go to the movies by myself. I would go and eat by myself. Like, I'm like, where you at? I'm like, I'm at a restaurant eating. Who there with you? Ain't nobody here with me. It's me. You mean you just eating by yourself? Yeah, I'm eating by myself. I like me.
I had this thing I was working on. It was called Lonely Man Lunch.
Lonely Man Lunch.
You knew at a job, you got to go eat in your car and you got to eat by yourself. And you got to let your window down and you're out in front of the eating. So you got to eat Lonely Man Lunch. But man, for the most part, I'm perfectly fine with eating Lonely Man Lunch because I love me some me.
Yeah.
And I don't have no problem, don't have any problem being with me.
Rosin said, I love me some me. I'm with you, Rosin. Because let me get her comment. She said, I've made some horrible choices as well as tried to make it work because I was trying to live right. But I caused hurt to myself and my children by trying to hold on to something that wasn't worth holding on to because I didn't know my worth at the time. I had to apologize to my children. Let me say this real quick. One mistake you do not want to make. Don't grab a joker, not living right, and then get in it and try to live right. You done already got in it with somebody, and now you lock yourself in because I'm trying to live right, but you didn't choose right. If you didn't choose right, then the living right, as far as it makes it that much harder. And a lot of people do not spend the time up front that they need to really evaluate people because we're interpreting them through our pain and we're not honest about it.
There are signs and clues that people have. Like I said, there are clues for success as well as failure. There are also mm-hmm. signs and clues that people have when they're hurting. when they're with you, but their mind is still in the past relationship.
Yeah.
When they're with you, and this name keep coming up, or when they with you and they past single life keep coming up. There are clues. There are clues to that, and we don't pay attention to them. And let me say this: the prettier you are, the finer you are. It makes it more difficult because people have a tendency to want you more for how you look and what they can get from you than they are by what's internal.
Yeah.
Because from what I found, when I used to be real pretty, I used to be real crazy. So I got unpretty so I could be more level headed and come back down there.
So you say the Lord humbled you? He humbled you. He say he thinking too much of himself. I need to humble him real quick. Grace says, so true, John. I needed to feel safe. So I ignore red flags because I feel safe. I'm trying to understand that.
Well, so let me ask this, because you where I am, because I've noticed that Grace often uses the word safe. And I think, and if I'm wrong, Grace, feel free to reply back. But man, I think you're looking for something in people that only God could give you. And I think that might be the mistake, because you say you use safety a lot. I want to feel safe. I want to feel safe, and I'm not sure people are geared to make you feel safe as much as they supposed to make you feel loved. Maybe it's one and the same. And I know women had this thing about, well, we want to feel safe, we want to be safe, but I'm not sure that people can give it to you in the way that you may need it, because you have history. I don't even know you that well, but I know you have history, and you have some things that new men you meet are not going to be ready for. And I think you might be putting men in the place of Christ when Christ can only feel some of those things that you need.
Come on now. Ken say, I've enjoyed being by myself many, many years. I like me also, LOL, but it has to be God to break my singleness lifestyle. I'm enjoying to marry someone God's chosen for me. So he said, God is the only person going to make him give up his singleness. It's the only person. He said, I spent years of singleness working on me, and then I got happy with it and enjoyed it too much. So he said he loved himself.
You could be out there kicking it real hard. And I know what you mean when you say protection. I know what you mean when you say.
Well, help me out then. Protection from what? What do you need protection from? What are we talking about? We talk about protection. We talk about emotional protection. We talk about physical protection. We talk about financial protection.
I think because of some of the hurts, I would dare to say from as Grace. Grace can tell you better than I can. Grace, tell us what type of hurt that you're coming from. Tell us what type of protection are you looking for?
Yeah, man, I just want to know, because we want to clarify, because you know what I'm saying, there are people that just listen to the audio. I want some clarity myself as to what it means. Grace says, I mean protection. You say, I mean protection. And that's what I'm saying. Like, what type of protection? Is it all encompassing? Like, what type of protection are you looking for?
Well, it was something that she obviously didn't get in the past.
Because a person actively protecting you is one thing, but the protection of character is a whole nother thing. You feeling safe because this is who this person is. Who this person is gives you this sense of safety, versus somebody purposely doing things to keep you safe or make you feel safe. Because if it's second nature, then it's part of who that person is. It's part of their makeup. But if it's something they're doing,
there you go.
Okay.
There you go.
She says, I didn't feel safe as a kid.
Yes.
Grace says, I didn't feel safe as a kid, as a wife.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Okay. And
because
go ahead, D.
Because there's a safety where your physical being is threatened, but there's a safety to where you're able to be vulnerable. You can be open. You can be honest, and without somebody taking that and using that against you. That's another type of safety. That's what I was trying to see.
Well, there's safety. I think there is safety in giving somebody your heart and knowing that they're not going to do that. They're not going to crush it. It's fun. I had a conversation with my wife today because I noticed when we have our little spats, depending on where it goes, she'll like pick up her. You know how you pick up your ball and you want to go home, you want to take it home. Well,
Oh yeah.
she's picking up her heart and saying, "Oh, so that's how you're gonna do me and my heart. So now I'm not gonna talk to you for a little while." And I'm like, "Whoa!" Because I'm thinking about what Rod said. Wait a minute. You trusted. Obviously, you are trusting me with something that now you feel like I am taking for granted or not doing with what I'm supposed to do with. So let me be more. What's the word? I'm looking for a word. Let me be more. Let me take into consideration. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Let me be more considerate of how I'm handling what's going on with us. Because obviously I'm missing something if you're doing that. So I'm missing something. But yeah, I think it's with a heart. I think it's with a heart because if you're trusting people with something and they're not doing what they're supposed to do with it, you're not gonna be safe. If it's your dad, if it's your mom, if it's anybody, if you're trusting them with your heart and your well-being, and they're not doing what they're supposed to, you're not gonna feel safe.
No, you're absolutely right. And I tell people you have to watch what you say, not in those moments, but in the moments where it seems like nothing is really happening. Like with women, speaking as a man, with women, we pay attention to how you handle what we say when we're not having a serious conversation. Men are always paying attention to that. So when it comes time to have the conversation, you're like, he don't talk. Well, you gave him clues or signs at some point that he can't trust you with the information. He can't open up to you. And it wasn't in a serious conversation. It was just in regular just talking. So you have to be mindful all the time. And I know Dr. Rod said, we pay way more attention when we're dating, but when we get married and stuff, now we dial it back and we're not paying attention like we should. Ifia says you will choose wrong when you choose from fear. Absolutely right. But how many of us are honest with the fear that we actually have? And it's amazing. We're afraid, but we steadily run to relationships. I don't understand.
Because if you didn't get treated right from mom and dad, your husband is gonna catch it because you're trying to make him be the do all be all. And if the marriage don't make it, you're gonna swear that it was his fault. When I am certain that man or woman was not ready for all the baggage that we were dragging into that relationship.
Yeah. And that's that honesty we talking about. That honesty is required. It's needed. But how risky is it, vulnerability in relationships? How risky is it? Let me get Dr. Selena. Dr. Selena says all behavior is communication. Y'all get what she said now. All behavior is communication. Choose someone that understands when you're moving differently.
We got to be in a place where we're paying attention, though. Again, man, the repetition is the worst thing about relationships. The longer we've been together, sometimes it's the worst thing for us because now I can kind of take you for granted.
Yeah,
I can kind of take you for granted for what you're gonna do and how you're gonna move.
Yeah. You know, I remember this lady, Mel Robbins. I remember her saying, she done some research. She says our brains have two modes: autopilot and emergency brake. We love routine. We don't like to think. So when we get in routine, we turn our brains off. And it's only when something different shows up and how we respond to it, we pull all the way up. It's called emergency brakes. You say we pull all the way up. And we have to be diligent and vigilant. We have to be constantly watching. It's like my wife, every time I leave the house, and I almost gets to the point sometimes I almost felt annoyed by it, but I'm like, I understand what she's saying, so I can't feel that way. Whenever I leave the house, she tells me, watch your surroundings. All the time. I don't care. I could be going right up the street. Watch your surroundings. She's always telling me that. Now, that's her way. She's concerned for me, but just the thought of don't get too comfortable just because you go into somewhere that's familiar. Always kind of be on guard and kind of be on watch. In relationships, we got to be that same way. We can't just take for granted, oh, I know we've been together 10 years, we've been 15 years. I know you. Because people evolve, people change, people grow. And if you're not paying it, especially when people are growing and you're not paying attention, they mess up and outgrow you, and you had a responsibility to stay in pace with them. You have a responsibility to stay in pace with your husband or your wife. If they're making changes, you need to pay attention to the changes that they're making and see how it affects you. If it's something you cool with, it's not going, all right, but at least you know. But if it's something that's going to say, you know what, if they're making this move, I needed to at least do this. Because insecurities can set in, because they start moving in different circles. They start talking to different people and everything. And if you back here, then you're going to feel some kind of way about that.
Well, also, man, I think one of the biggest things about relationships is when we need that person. And this sounds really crazy. If I need you more than I probably should, because I got to be at a place, because a lot of times need is financially. A lot of times need is I just don't want to be by myself. A lot of times need is, well, he was the one or she was the one that took me. And by in a relationship, when you figure out you need them more than they need you, you're gonna feel the way about it.
Oh yeah. I remember hearing Terrence Howard say that. Terrence Howard said he had an uncle that was a pimp. He said whoever needs the purse, he said that's the one that controls the relationship.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's who controls relationship.
That's when you start getting treated bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, why am I putting up with him doing me any kind of way? Why am I putting up this? Well, because you need him.
Yeah. And that's a point where you start getting controlled.
Mm-hmm.
I tell people, in the absence of trust, you must control. If I'm scared to trust you, then I have to get in a position to where I control you. I have to get in a position where I control you. Grace says sometimes our picker is off because of all that old stuff.
Because you've never dealt with the old stuff. So we dragging that old stuff with us into this relationship. You had it in your carry-on bag, so didn't nobody check it.
Ben says, so true, Derek. People change and grow. Relationships aren't stagnant. They're always evolving. Right. And it's wrong to expect somebody to always stay the same. Listen, our bodies change. Our minds change because we experience things, and those experiences change us.
Absolutely.
And I've seen a lot of people grab people in relationships based on where they are. And they're comfortable where they are, and they grab somebody based on where they are. And that person they satisfy for the moment. But what happens when you decide to grow? What happens when you decide to make changes, start improving yourself? Now that person doesn't serve where you're going. They're built for where you are. And so if there's no mutual agreement on growth, if that person doesn't have some kind of growth in his or her mind, then now you grow apart.
Well, that's why it's so important to talk about hopes and dreams and accomplishments, things you want to accomplish when you're dating. Because if I know you want to be a doctor and I'm not really, and I don't want to do school, we probably gonna hit and miss somewhere. If I know you got dreams of being great and I'm cool with just playing video games and working a 9 to 5, don't really want anything great, we're probably gonna have issues. We're gonna have issues.
Yeah.
That's why it's so important to talk about when people say we don't have. Do we still have conversations about where you see yourself in 5 years, or 10 years, or Do we still do that anymore?
I don't know. I know it's married couples. I mean, we have conversations like that. You know, me and my wife we were talking the other day. We were talking about, okay, we need to kind of make some changes and everything because of where we're trying to get to. But as far as people getting into relationships, I don't know how often they have those conversations. Any single people out there, let us know. Are these conversations happening? Do you have those conversations? Afia says some people are not honest during the dating phase. They rather ghost you. And, that ghosting thing.
Okay, let me say this. Ophelia, what's her name? So lady that was just on, let me say this. Are you paying attention to the signs? Because a person can tell you that, oh my God, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to accomplish this, I want to accomplish that. And where they at, that their life is not, because oftentimes you can tell when people are trying to do better. And you can also tell when they're not. Now, a lot of people are great salesmen to where they can sell you something that they're not actually living. In relationships, you need to be paying attention to that. You need, listen, wanting better and doing better is two different things, and we got to be paying attention to it.
Yeah, yeah.
And we don't pay attention to we don't pay attention to crazy. We don't pay attention to when somebody doing stuff and that ain't exact. Listen, people got issues, but you can tell when whoa, where is this coming from? What is this about?
Yeah. LaShawn Walker says, sadly, that's not something you see in the beginning. During a relationship, sometimes is when a person's sorry traits usually come to light. Make sure you don't have your sorry goggles on too. Because listen, people aren't perfect. People are not perfect. And if you're looking for flaws, you're going to find them. My thing is, you're trying to decide how much of this person's issues am I really willing to take on? Now, it's one thing, you got to know if they're working on it, and there should be evidence of them working on it. But you got to understand, how much am I willing to take? If you ain't willing to take it on, just keep moving. Levante says, it's hard to play someone you're not for a long time. Exactly. You got to slow play it. Right. That person will wear out. This is why Steve Harvey had the 90-day rule. That's the reason why he had the 90-day rule, until he let people know. Now dudes, they just hold out for 120. But this is why the 90-day rule, because a person can't maintain that. If it's not genuine, they can't maintain it for a long period of time, because their true character is going to come out at some point. But you got to be paying attention, because a lot of times people true character show up and we dismiss it or we excuse it because we didn't got too wrapped up. And you can't get so wrapped up in a person that you excuse or dismiss the red flags.
Or we having some good sex. Cause good sex will hide crazy. You ever been? Well, I'm not gonna ask you, but a friend of mine was telling me that the crazy people have the best sex. Who would have thunk it? I would. It makes sense.
Listen, crazy is fun, it's exciting and everything until it becomes inconvenient.
Wow.
You loved it at first. Oh, girl, he'll fight for me. He just then next thing he upside your head because he's a fighter.
Yeah.
He ain't discriminating on who he fighting with. But you was so, girl, we was out and this dude stepped crazy to me and he stepped up and he such. And then next thing you know, girl, come get him off of me. If he didn't have the mindset to deal with that situation, right? He was a hothead. He's gonna be a hothead in other instances too. So you got to be paying attention. Mika said them representatives stay around longer than 90 days. No lie.
They do, but it's easier to see clues and they leave. Now, after 90 days, it's really hard to keep showing who you are. Because to be honest, anything out 30, 45 days is a habit. So I just think it's really hard after 90 days for somebody to keep lying to you and telling you something.
And like Maya Angelou said, if people show you who they are, believe them.
Yeah.
We don't believe them. It's amazing the excuses that people will make for somebody just because they're at a need level. Their need level is high, and that person is satisfying a need at that time. You read that one. You let you read that one.
So LaShawn Walker says, when old boy be spanking it during sex, then heck yeah, y'all miss out on the bad stuff. And see, and this is the thing. It would be really funny if she was lying. But a lot of times we will compromise things if a woman or a man got that bone, got that fire. That's what they call it, the fire. They got that fire. But then after a while, that fire is here. And once the fire ain't enough to sustain you no more, because the crazy gonna start coming out once. Because after the fire go out and you cool down and be talking about, girl, you trying to kill me in here. Well, now she can begin to show you who she really is because of I just gave you the fire. Now let me give you what else that comes with the fire. And the same with guys. Now I'm gonna start staying off in your car a little longer. Samantha says, Samantha Footsport Bradwright said, you right about it, John. Yes, I am right about it. And Grace says, John, you the friend. Whoa. No, I'm not the friend. I'm not the friend. Go ahead.
Afia agrees with Mika. She said, yes, Mika is right. I had one to do a stellar 8-month performance.
Wow.
8 months. I learned a lot. Evangelist Valerie says, I had one of those clowns in my younger days. You told Hoppo to beat me? Oh my goodness. Kids say, oh boy, Elvis came back in the building and just left again. Okay, LaShawn says, John, it's not fire. That's that fire. You gotta say it. She said that fire. Right. And that fire end up burning you. Then you're like, somebody put it out.
because this is the thing. We looking for a reason. So this is the thing. I'm trying to give you the opportunity to convince me that I should stay with you. So I'm gonna give you every chance when it comes to sex. I'm gonna give you every chance if you're a wordsmith, if you can tell me something that make me go crazy. I'm gonna give you every chance to make me change my mind off of stuff that I'm seeing. Because I want to stay with you. I just need you to help me stay with you.
And let me just tell you, if every time you try to have a serious conversation with somebody, you end up in the bed, they are distracting you from the conversation. They are distracting you. There's something they're trying to avoid. They going back to what they know will shut you up. And you got to be mindful. You got to be aware. But this is why you don't put the cart before the horse. Our judgment gets thrown off when we get out of steps. And listen, getting in the bed with somebody, it shifts the relationship in a whole nother gear that judgment gets thrown off. Selena's talking about that good distraction. Right. It's good until you wind up somewhere in a corner crying.
Well, until the actual relationship starts. Because the misconception about people now is they think the relationship starts once y'all start sleeping together, but that's not actually when it starts. The relationship actually starts when you two make a commitment to each other. Say, I'm gonna be for you, you for me. It's because what happened with the woman, she started looking for some type of ring. The guy, that's when the relationship starts. And oftentimes we think it's when the sex popped off, and that's not necessarily true.
Listen, I don't care how good he put it down. You can't live in no bed. Somebody got to pay some bills. Well, you can't live there.
It's 24 hours in a day, D. So I'm gonna give you 30 minutes. Cause anything longer than that is the devil. So that's 23 hours, 30 minutes that we not in the bed, that we got to deal with each other. Do you even like each other?
Right.
Do you nag too much? Is he trying to be gone all the time? dude, the relationship don't start till y'all got to deal with each other. And it's hard enough to deal with other people when you don't like dealing with yourself. Yeah. It ain't easy. Relationships ain't easy. It ain't supposed to be easy when you're dealing with other people, because now you got to change everything about you and make it about them. It ain't supposed to be easy. But when you do it and you do it right, it's beautiful.
Commitment tests the worst of who you are. Commitment is always going to test the worst of who you are. The weakest points about you, commitment is going to test that. So when you go to commitment factor, this is when the dynamic changes.
Yeah.
As long as we plan. And this is why, and I'm going to let women know, this is why guys will not say that we are together. Now, he'll be with you all the time, but he'll conveniently leave that door open, because once he says it, it completely changes.
The expectation changes. What you expect from him changes, and we don't want to change that.
Right. But the thing is, they'll be expecting it. They have the expectation, but when they call him on it, he'll conveniently say, we didn't say we was together. I never said we was together.
But that's when crazy come in and say, I'm gonna stab you.
You gotta be mindful. You gotta be aware. You gotta be watching. You find out who you are in commitment. You find exactly out who you are in commitment.
You do, Derek, but most importantly, you need to be honest. Everybody needs to be. We're trying to get to a point where we can be honest with each other. Because if you can be honest with each other, you can find out what's going on with each other. You can find out what hurts you have. You can find out what you need from somebody. Because let me tell you something. If you have issues with mom and dad, when you get married and talk about those to your spouse or a relationship or whatever, they're going to tell you whether or not they can feel they're going to tell you not whether or not they can be all that you need them to be. And oftentimes we're not telling people, we're not giving people information that they need to see if they can be there to go through that with us. We're not giving them that.
Ken said, I need to leave my mind. It's been renewed. I'm not sure with the right stuff. LOL, great chat, man. Listen. Everybody is trying to get together. People are trying to get in relationships, and people are just doing it wrong. People are dragging a whole lot of issues from relationship to relationship. And what Dr. Rod shared with us is how not to do that. A lot of these relationships aren't healthy because of all of the stuff we drag into it. What if you were able to really unload, unpack, and deal with your stuff before you try to take on being with somebody else?
Because that's a full-time job right there. If it's a full-time job, if you don't have, when you just trying to unload that stuff, don't you get on? No.
Tramisha says, why is commitment for men so hard? You want me exclusively, but don't want to verbally commit.
Because we don't have to. Because you won't make us. You willing to give me your body without all that, so I'm more than willing to take it. Yeah. I don't know what else to say to you.
Yeah. And let me say this. There are guys that will absolutely commit, but you don't want them. You don't want them. Let's be honest. You don't want them. We spend all of our times on the jokers we want, but the jokers that we probably need to be with,
we don't want them.
Listen, there are guys that will absolutely commit and say, hey, I'm here with you, I'm here for you. But as soon as they say that, it's like, because women do the same thing men do. Let me just be honest. You do the same thing men do. When you get somebody that you know is going to hold you down, now you feel comfortable to go play around. They say the best time to find a job is when you already got one.
Well, especially if it wasn't really what you wanted anyway.
Exactly. And a lot of times we're looking at the wrong things going in. We're looking at the wrong.
LaShawn is saying those are the type of guys that women take their bodies and they're usually damaged because most people are. It's not, listen, guys, it's not just a certain type of woman or a certain type of guy. Most people are damaged and crazy. And we don't get fixed. And so because we don't get fixed, hurt people hurt people. That's why we get people all the time saying, that's it for me. You know what? I'm going to women. I'm going, I don't want no men. They do because nobody wants to be hurt anymore. But you cannot love. You cannot put yourself in a position to be loved if you don't commit to something.
You're absolutely right.
Final thought.
It's that time. It's that time.
All right. My final thought for this evening is, man, we gotta start being more honest with each other, man. First of all, you gotta create a space to where you can be honest with yourself. And I know that sounds crazy, but we need somewhere, a closet, or we need something that we can go in there, a shower. Or we need something that we can go in there and be real and be honest with ourselves. Because, listen, I often say this: don't people deserve the best version of you like you want from them? So we have to do what we need to do in order to get the best version of ourselves. And stop hiding and lying and being embarrassed, because we all got flaws. We all got flaws, and we all got things we need to be fixed from. I need you to find out what those are so you can become a better person. And that's my final thought.
Listen, one thing about it's undeniable that we were created for relationships. We were created to be connected to people. But this is why there are rules of engagement when it comes to being with people. How you treat somebody, not getting too far ahead of yourself. Listen, because God understood that how we are. He understood how our minds work and how our bodies work with our minds. And everything about how we live today has gotten things completely out of order and out of whack, but we're still expecting the right results. They say insanity is doing things over and over again, expecting a different result. You're doing the same thing, expecting a different result. When are we going to change up our method of how we doing it? If we want something different, we got to do something different. Let's try taking the time and being by ourselves for a while before we get with somebody. Let's find out who we are before we start to use somebody else to define us. Because now we put ourselves in a position to where we open ourselves up to more pain and more hurt. Listen, if you're approaching this situation from a point of need, you're already giving up a sense of self. You're giving up a sense of power that you probably need to hold on to until that person proves themselves. We have to make people prove themselves worthy of our heart, worthy of who we are, the best of who we are. So let's be smart about getting into relationships. Let's do it different than we've been doing it so that we can get the right result this time. And that's our King Speak for this week.
Man,
listen, we want to thank everybody for hopping on with us. Thank everybody for the conversation. Great conversation tonight. We definitely appreciate everybody that chimed in, that jumped in with us. Always appreciate the love. I always appreciate everybody that shows up from week to week. Listen, you want to find us, you can find the audio podcast. We're on Apple, Google, Spotify, Spreaker, all the different podcast platforms. You want to find the audio version, you can go to those platforms. You can find Man Talk Mondays, a lot of great episodes that we've had. The 2 past episodes from Dr. Rod. We have the Limp Conversations episodes that were good as well that you want to go check out, and a lot of other great content. Also, make sure you subscribe and you like it and share it. Share it with other people.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're also on BS3 TV on Roku. You can catch us there live on your TV, or you can go back and you can catch past episodes on demand. the BS3 TV channel on Roku. We're part of the BS3 network of podcasts. Great podcasts, great content, a lot of things that we think you'll find something that you would like. So go by and check us out on Roku. Also, if you don't have a Roku TV or Roku device, there's a direct web link that you can catch us on. It's bs3tvlive.com. bs3tvlive.com. You definitely want to check us out. Man Talk Mondays, we're taking our show on the road, ladies and gentlemen. We are taking the show on the road. Coming up this Saturday.
Yes, this Saturday. Yes. We're going to be at Brooklyn's over in Frisco. Yeah.
Yes.
We'll be at Brooklyn's over in Frisco this weekend. On this Saturday, starting at, we start at 11:30?
Yeah. We starting at 11:30. We're gonna be there, and it's called Cuts and Conversation, right?
Yeah,
it's gonna be at Brooklyn's Cuts and Designs in Frisco. I said it's our live recording. It's gonna be a live video recording that we're gonna do for Man Talk Mondays. We're gonna have guys in the barbershop just having some good, real, honest conversation about issues of just being a man in a relationship. So be looking for the video that'll be coming out soon. So don't miss that. We're gonna keep y'all posted on that as well. And also, you know what I'm saying, Dr. Rod, he said he ready to do a relationship conferences. He said he ready to do it with us. So we're gonna be planning something. Yes. Right? We're gonna be planning something, so be looking for that as well. Listen, we appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for jumping on with us tonight. As always, we definitely always appreciate the love. We want to say thank you. Thank you, our producer, who was always holding us down week after week after week, doing an awesome job.
Strong.
Y'all don't see all the stuff to be going on behind the scenes, but she keep us in line. So we definitely appreciate our producer, the doctor.
Strong.
Yes, Strong.
You go, girl. You go.
All right, we're gonna catch y'all next Monday. Don't miss Man Talk Monday. We're gonna come back with more good stuff for you. So catch y'all later. Peace out.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.